the screen is yours and you have 20 minutes for your presentation.
Thank you. Hope you're hearing me correctly and you're seeing the presentation. Can you give me feedback on that?
Yes, we see the presentation.
Okay, thank you for inviting me. This is the first thing that I have to say. And well, I will say that I will talk about some aspects, some opportunities and challenges of the sustainability in agriculture, and also will try to display some strong pitfalls that we must cover in order to proceed and transform the sustainability, the environmental sustainability with special emphasis to agriculture, to a bioeconomy system. Sustainability and bioeconomy systems are a little bit different, and one must know the differences to be able to use sustainability to get a bioeconomy. So I will try to briefly say which is a potential definition of bioeconomy. These aspects are not well defined, and the first International Congress on Bioeconomy was, so there is some debate on how to define it, and which are in the agricultural system the ABC of the bioeconomy. And well, the ABC is basically agroecology, biodiversity, and circularity. This ABC changed in time. In the first International Congress on Bioeconomy, for example, sustainability was not mentioned as an important trait, but now it is. And 2 years ago, it was strongly stated. I will also try to show some important tools to foster bioeconomy. I am not able to talk about every potential tool and get too much in detail because, well, I have 20 minutes and I would take 3 hours and a half. I don't think that the organizer would be happy to listen to me to the whole day. And hope to start a debate, especially on which means to get a direct income, so not simply an indirect income from the ecosystem services, and which are the strong pitfalls when needing to integrate agriculture, forestry, livestock, and urban areas in just one system. So just to show what are we briefly talking about, I will talk on organic systems, and please note that as I was presented, I mostly work on organic systems, on plant growth promoting microbes, on sustainable tools to increase soil fertility both in the short and in the long term. So this is my main topic of expertise. But we will also see some things about GMO. I also add new breeding technologies, but there is presently no genotype to be used in actual settings of NBT, and conservative agriculture or conservation agriculture. These aspects have peculiarities that should be known in a way of fostering bioeconomy. There is also many other aspects that I will not be able to talk about, such as precision agriculture, but problems and issues in precision agriculture are very similar to those that we can find in conservation agriculture. I will show it. And also making an agricultural system that is more complex, that is less simplified. And these problems are similar to the ones that we can find in the organic systems. Organic systems is a management of crops. This is a management within crops, within the same field, in the same year. Well, in the same cropping season. So just to have a view, what we see right now, especially in some parts of the world, that we have sometimes an old-fashioned agriculture, but not an efficient agriculture. And cities take the most from the farms and from the fields, but cities have a high impact and a high delivery of wastes, and most of these wastes are not used anymore. And well, we think that it would be great to have a good integration of all the technologies in agriculture in order to reduce the environmental impact of the production of 1 kilogram of food, and be integrated in smart cities with green and trees and the ability to directly use vegetables produced from cities. Well, we have some problems in jumping from the left side to the right side, and we need some bridge. This bridge is made compulsorily by funds and investment, both public funds and private investments, and science, because we can pass from the left side to the right side without knowing how to do. And some experimentation that was done, and it was done without the correct way, well, it did not bring to good results. All these can be linked only by a good governance among various nations. Well, among the global nations, but just working at a European level, it would be great. So just to have an understanding of what we have in the field, what we have in the world, if we consider that roughly 1/3 of the land is of the world area is land that we can use, and only 2/3 of this is an habitable land, let's consider that right now we are using half of this habitable land for agriculture, and we are slightly, well, I would say strongly reducing the forest, but forest means biodiversity, and biodiversity is our money for the future. In addition, 3/4 of the agricultural area is used for livestock, meat, dairy, and dairy products, and so on. Please don't think that we can reduce the area for livestock raising, because the most of this is pasture, and pasture can't easily be transformed to field crops, to agricultural land, because they have a low production and a very high impact when being converted. So we can see that in the last 30 years we had no increase in the agricultural land, but some sharp decrease in the forest land. So we must connect both areas and reduce the forest loss, because there we find biodiversity and stability of the environment. So what with the EU member, indeed I could show many things on other nations too, on the country area. Well, in the Baltic Sea regions, we have that more than 1/2 of the area is for agricultural land and other land areas. And around 1/3 of the area is in primary forest or natural regenerating forest. This is good because the most of states in Europe are sometimes somehow just like Germany. This is not for the region in Germany that is involved in the project. This is the whole Germany. And this is too much agriculture and too scarce amounts of forest to support the biodiversity for agriculture. Why we have this situation? We have this situation because we have basically 3 aspects in the last 80 years. The arrival of synthetic fertilizer and active ingredients, the advanced breeding, well, including GMO, but all the advanced breeding too, and the implication of tractors. The 3 of them made changes in the sustainability of the environment, and at the one time, they simplified the cropping systems. So just the question is, did we have in this last 80 years, 70 years, an increase or a reduction of the environmental impact? Well, 80 years ago, we had a certain environmental impact and a certain amount of product. And now that we could use less soil to produce more amounts of food, we surely have more impact per unit soil, but do we have more yield or less yields? this is the method that we have to answer, and this is the way to bioeconomy. So bioeconomy entails the production, utilization, conservation, and mostly regeneration biological resources, especially the natural resources. These should provide a sustainable solution and should enable the transformation to sustainable economy. We will see that there is a strong pitfall in this last passage, and which is this pitfall. But, well, that basically to have bioeconomy, we must manage the sustainability of the environment, and we should do it at all scales, from the plot to the global scales. And the management at one scale can contrast to the management at other scales. This should be done at one time. So we need a measurement of sustainability that is shared and concerted, and that takes into account all the aspects of the sustainability. And please note that the environmental impact is only one of the 4 aspects of the sustainability. Some research was done in the last year, and someone tried to estimate at a global level using various indicators that were built by the various nations, a sort of global sustainability index of the food system. And this is the raw result, but don't look at it as a result that is fixed and must not change. Well, depending on the trait that we measure, we could have some different results. But presently, northern states have higher sustainability because we ensure foods. And in some areas, such as in India or in many nations of the Africa, they have a strong problem with food security. So this is not sustainability. I'm sorry to Yanis and for the ones that will talk about LCA, but I will say some things. Is there a measure of the environmental impact that we could share among nations? Yes, this is the LCA measures. There are other measures too, but probably this is the better studied, where we split the food systems in 6 sections or 3 sections of 2 sections at a while. And we studied the impact of 1 kilogram of product for the agricultural stage, for the transformation stage, for the distribution, use, and waste management, and so on. So this is a good measurement to compare systems and know if they are impacting more than other systems, and if they can get us some well, premium price, because economy is an important part of the sustainability. Well, this is another example. If we take the whole impact of a product, I only do it with food products indeed, we can see that around 3/4 of the impact is achieved during the cultivation and rearing. Please note that the total amount of impact, that is the GHG emission, is strongly different among the kinds of products. And we can also see that around 10% of the impact is done when we start cultivating, irrespective of the way we cultivate. So reducing the amount of land cultivated is a first issue to reduce the environmental impact. So how can we handle these problems? Indeed, we could try to mimic nature, but nature have 2 main aspects. Well, I would say 3. The first of all, nature has a strong diversity. They don't have only one species in a field and all the individuals that are clones. They have many species and many different individuals. Also, nature have no tillage. Soil in nature is not disturbed. Well, indeed, nature have circularity and also have biomass return to the soil. So the aspects that we should deal is mimicking nature in agriculture, trying to maintain biodiversity, and trying to be the more circular as possible. Well, the first two, they have only one rule, and this is bioeconomy, basically, diversification. They also have one exception, that is, we should reduce tillage, so we should avoid diversify too much on tillage. It's better having no tillage in everything, but it's a little bit difficult. What can we solve with this problem? Well, which are the problems that we should solve with the strategy? Well, the first one is reducing tillage. We will see that, well, this is bad, this is good, this is very beautiful, and it's very difficult. And it's not a problem that we can easily solve. We should stop making simplified systems, because simplified systems have scarce resilience. Just imagine if you only have wheat and you have a cropping season that is not good for wheat. All the species, all the individuals will die or will not produce. So having many species reduces the risk. And also, usually, simplified systems have a scarce return of biomass, plant residues, to the soil, but we must build the soil organic carbon, the soil organic matter, that it's the first measure of the long-term fertility. We could do it with many strategies, and well, the rationale using all the strategies at the one time. And also, usually, simplified systems have separate livestock from vegetable production, plant production. So we can't use the animal residues in the plant growth, and we can't diversify the plant production to sustain the animal raising. So, in addition, with regards to biodiversity and circularity, we should also think that it's not important having only a cultivated biodiversity, but trying to mix natural stand and cultivated stand. This is because natural stand, the more diversified within the agricultural land, the more they reduce pests and pathogens. There is a strong scientific literature in this, and I will not show it because it's quite known. And what about circularity? I don't want it because it tells me to reuse waste as well. This is important indeed. I don't want it because it tells me to reduce the impact of transport. This is very important too. But I mostly want it because if I have to use my own things, I must diversify my systems to produce everything. So please note that in any case, bioeconomy in agriculture does not mean to completely avoid the synthetic fertilizers or active ingredients. It means increasing the efficiency of their use, and so increasing the yield per unit impact. So what about the three systems I was talking on? Well, let's talk on the organic system. They are perceived as more sustainable than the non-organic systems. Is that true? Could we make organic system in the whole world and make it the world more sustainable? Unfortunately, no. We can say that there is a strong difference between organic and conventional systems for the sustainability. This is a meta-analysis and collects the most of data in 2017 that was published in 2017. As you can see, there is a strong variability. So the important thing is trying to make a sustainable system, but not compulsorily make organic or conventional systems. But why? Well, because basically they have less inputs, but they have also less yields. So where is the pro of making organic carbon? Why should I do it? Because organic systems, sorry, I said organic carbon, forces to diversify the systems. And when applied at a landscape level, so do not think about just one field, they reduce the load of pesticides to the sea and the rivers and the lakes. And this is an important thing. So it would be great if organic systems get admixed with the conventional systems. Well, they also have a premium price, and we must consider it because this is an important aspect of sustainability. And with GMO, they are perceived as bad. They say, many people say that they have a higher impact per unit yield. Is that true? And what with pesticides? Did they increase the amount of pesticides applied? Well, no. They usually have a higher yield. This comes from experiments, and a dramatically lower pesticides load. This was confirmed in many studies, and when looking at the nation that adopted it, for example, we have Spain and Portugal in Europe, they've seen that the pesticide law actually was confirmed by the national statistics, and that also we had a lower impact related. I lost the presentation. I can't see you anymore. Okay, a lower impact related to the non-GMO systems. So what's the problem? Did they have a human or animal health effects? No, nothing. And in addition, they are recently being used very likely to the production of the, for example, given the COVID vaccine. And so can we say that we have a problem with GMO? Well, yes, we have it. They don't have higher impact. In addition, for every euro spent in GMO, we have a 4 to 5 euro more net return. But the matter is that they are easier to be grown, and when grown at a landscape level, they reduce biodiversification because everybody wants to grow it. I'm just finished. I have few presentations. So what's the problem? Having a circularity and so forcing the system to be diversified. And what with conservation agriculture that have similar pitfalls to the precision agriculture? Well, conservation agriculture is a golden standard. They reduce or avoid tillage, and adding cover crops, they add biomass diversification, and also these have problems in the control of weeds because tillage is mostly used for weed control. So we should use rotation, increasing diversification to control weed. They have an amount of pros that are exceptional. They reduce soil erosion, and the eroded soil is the better soil, the one with higher soil organic carbon. So reducing erosion, maintain yield. So they reduce yield loss, they reduce fuel use, increase soil fertility. Also, they have around a 20% reduction of the production cost and around a 20 to 30% increase of the net return, and also an increased yield stability. But why are not they applied? Because they are complex and the farmers usually are not able to apply them. They apply it in a wrong way and they don't get the benefits. This is because every conservative agricultural system must be adapted to the environment, and also in the first 3 to 5, 6 years, they can also bring to a reduction of yield, especially in cold and wet areas. This means that if the farmers is not able to adapt it, it will produce less and gain less. Just to end the presentation, please mind that what I've said referred to agriculture is also said by FAO, which states that productivity must not be reduced to foster sustainability. And at the one time, we should protect the natural resources. Well, indeed, FAO also talks about the improved livelihood, enhanced resilience, and above all, to adapt the government to the new challenges. So which are the pitfalls that we are forced to deal with to transform sustainability to bioeconomy? So get money from the sustainability, basically. improving environment and improving the economy. We need a standardization of the method. We must be able to compute which is a sustainability of one field and one nation. We need to provide credits when increasing sustainability to a farmer, just like carbon credit for the GHG emission and debits. But we can do it only if we increase equality. We can task this to poor people. Also, we need an alliance among scientific research, technology transfer above all, and entrepreneurs, because entrepreneurs must know how to do it. And if you see it, well, the first three are mostly governance driven, and the fourth is driven by both governance and the single individual. Well, hope that you were interested in the presentation, and feel free to write me or ask me whatever you want. I'm here, and also to contact me with any other means.